20 years later, Meg Ryan finally exposes what really ended her marriage to Dennis Quaid. Their love story began on a Hollywood film set, but fame, infidelity, and personal demons tore Dennis Quaid and Meg Ryan apart. After 9 years of marriage and a very public divorce, the world took sides. 2 decades later, Dennis looks back, unfiltered, unashamed, and reveals the real reason their marriage couldn't survive the spotlight. Chapter 1. Did Meg Ryan's fame break them? In the late 80s and early 90s, Dennis Quaid was already an established Hollywood name, celebrated for standout performances in The Right Stuff and The Parent Trap. But as his career plateaued, Meg Ryan's ascent was meteoric. Her roles in When Harry Met Sally, Sleepless in Seattle, and You've Got Mail made her a media darling, America's sweetheart. When I met Meg, I was here, she was here, then it just went like that. Dennis Quaid using his hands to show how her stardom surpassed his. As Ryan's fame eclipsed his, the dynamic between them began to shift. Public attention followed her everywhere. For Quaid, this wasn't just about losing the spotlight, it was about feeling invisible alongside the woman he loved. We'd walk in New York, people yelling, "Meg, Meg." I actually did feel like I disappeared. Dennis Quaid, reflecting on feeling overshadowed in public. The growing disparity in fame created an imbalance that neither could fully address. For Quaid, it wasn't jealousy, it was a quiet erosion of identity, standing beside someone whose star power had overtaken the relationship itself. Behind the cameras, Quaid was grappling with a dangerous secret. At the height of his fame, he was using up to 2 grams of cocaine every day, a habit that threatened both his health and his future. I liked coke. I liked it to go out. I had a white light experience where I saw myself dead. Dennis Quaid describing the moment he realized he had to change. Faced with a breaking point, Quaid entered rehab just before his planned wedding to Ryan. Instead of walking away, Meg stood by him, postponing the wedding while he sought help. Her support during this period was unwavering, a testament to the love they shared. After completing rehab, they married spontaneously on Valentine's Day, 1991, a decision that symbolized hope and a fresh start. But even as they exchanged vows, deeper cracks were already forming. Fame, addiction, and professional pressures weren't easily left behind. Quaid later admitted that while Ryan's career soared post-marriage, he felt his own momentum slow. The imbalance of fame and the shadow of addiction weren't just personal struggles, they were silent forces pulling their marriage apart long before the headlines began to speculate. I put a lot of time into uncovering this story. If you enjoyed it, subscribe so you don't miss what's next. Chapter 2. Russell Crowe didn't end their marriage? To the world, Dennis Quaid and Meg Ryan looked like a picture-perfect Hollywood couple. Their smiles lit up red carpets. Their family photos filled magazine spreads. But behind those glamorous images, cracks had already begun to show. Insiders close to the pair noticed a growing distance, one that neither cameras nor publicity could hide forever. In a candid 2006 interview on The Oprah Winfrey Show, Ryan finally addressed the truth behind their breakup. Our marriage couldn't sustain itself, into Meg Ryan revealing the relationship's collapse. When news broke of Ryan's close relationship with Proof of Life co-star Russell Crowe, tabloids seized the narrative. Headlines painted Crowe as the man who stole Ryan from Quaid, but Ryan firmly rejected that version of events. Russell didn't break up the marriage. I left my marriage. Meg Ryan denying that Crowe caused the divorce. The real story, she insisted, wasn't about an affair. It was about a marriage that had quietly unraveled long before Crowe entered the picture. Yet in the public eye, Ryan became the Scarlet Woman, branded by scandal while the deeper problems remained hidden. In 2008, Ryan dropped another bombshell in an interview with InStyle, shifting the narrative again. She revealed that Quaid hadn't been faithful during their marriage, a secret she'd carried for years. Dennis was not faithful to me for a long time. That was very painful. Meg Ryan opening up about Quaid's repeated infidelity. Her revelation reframed the story the media had pushed. Suddenly, the betrayal wasn't a one-sided affair. It was mutual, layered with years of hidden wounds. But Quaid wasn't happy with Ryan's public disclosure. He criticized her for continuing to rehash and rewrite their relationship in interviews, long after their divorce had been finalized. The public, however, didn't shift its judgment so easily. Despite Ryan's revelations, much of the blame for their breakup remained on her shoulders. The tabloids spun the narrative relentlessly, reinforcing sexist tropes about women's infidelity, while overlooking the full complexity of their marriage. Behind the headlines was a deeper emotional toll. Ryan reflected on their youthful naivety and the unrealistic pressures they faced as a high-profile couple. We were really young when we got married. We didn't know who we were yet. Meg Ryan, describing their lack of readiness for the challenges that followed. Their marriage hadn't just failed under the weight of betrayal or fame, it had been undermined by unspoken insecurities, incompatible growth, and the relentless microscope of celebrity life. Beneath the rumors and accusations, it was a union pulled apart by forces neither fully understood at the time. Chapter 3. Meg Ryan wasn't the real villain. In June 2000, Dennis Quaid and Meg Ryan shocked the world by announcing their separation after 9 years of marriage. Fans had seen them as one of Hollywood's strongest couples. The news blindsided the public, sparking a storm of speculation. Rumors swirled that Ryan's on-set chemistry with Proof of Life co-star Russell Crowe had crossed professional boundaries. Photographs of Ryan and Crowe together quickly spread across tabloids, fueling headlines that painted her as a homewrecker. The narrative was brutal and unforgiving. I wasn't a victim. I was there. I was in that marriage for a really long time. Meg Ryan, reflecting on her role in the breakup. Ryan pushed back against the simplified scandal. In interviews, she insisted that her relationship with Crowe wasn't the cause of her divorce. The marriage had already crumbled under deeper, more private pressures. But the tabloids ignored nuance, labeling her the Scarlet Woman and making her the face of betrayal. After the divorce, Ryan withdrew from the spotlight. She stepped away from leading romantic comedies and turned her attention to raising their son, Jack Quaid. Meanwhile, Dennis Quaid found new love with real estate agent Kimberly Buffington. The couple married in 2004 and welcomed twins, Thomas and Zoe, in 2007. But even this chapter had its struggles. In 2018, after 14 years of marriage, Quaid and Buffington finalized their divorce. Through these personal changes, their son Jack grew into adulthood under the public eye. Following his parents into acting, Jack landed roles in The Hunger Games, The Boys, and Oppenheimer. Both Meg and Dennis have expressed pride in Jack's success, standing by him as he built his own identity in the industry. In the decades since their divorce, both Quaid and Ryan have reflected publicly on their marriage with grace and maturity. Despite the pain and scandal, Quaid continues to speak kindly of his ex-wife. No regrets. Meg is really such a great, sweet person. Dennis Quaid speaking to Chris Wallace in 2024. Ryan, too, has defended their son Jack from the labels often placed on celebrity children. As Jack's star rose, critics called him a nepo baby, a term Ryan strongly rejected. He's more natural than I'll ever be. Meg Ryan, praising Jack's talent and work ethic. Over time, the public narrative surrounding their relationship has softened. What was once tabloid fodder has evolved into a more nuanced understanding of two people navigating extraordinary pressures. Scandal gave way to mutual respect. Their shared pride in Jack became the thread that reconnected them in the public eye. From betrayal to reinvention, from heartbreak to legacy, their story didn't end with divorce. It became a testament to growth, forgiveness, and the complicated realities behind fame's dazzling facade. Chapter 4. Jack Quaid became their greatest gift. Born in 1992, Jack Quaid entered the world already carrying the weight and privilege of two famous last names. Growing up as the son of Meg Ryan and Dennis Quaid meant cameras were never far away. From red carpets to paparazzi lenses, his childhood was watched as closely as his parents' high-profile romance. Despite their divorce, both Meg and Dennis maintained a united front in parenting. Jack split time between their homes, developing strong bonds with both parents. He later credited them for keeping his upbringing as grounded as possible despite their celebrity status. Jack made his official acting debut in 2012, appearing in The Hunger Games as Marvel, a small but memorable role. But it was his breakout as Huey Campbell in Amazon's The Boys that truly showcased his range and charisma. Audiences and critics alike praised his performance, recognizing him not as a famous kid chasing fame, but as a legitimate rising star. Through it all, Meg and Dennis never stopped cheering from the sidelines. Their pride in Jack's accomplishments became one of the few things they've both publicly spoken about with glowing admiration. We got Jack out of it, who's going to eclipse both of us. Dennis Quaid, reflecting on their greatest shared achievement. Meg Ryan also pushed back hard against the label of Nepo baby, often attached to children of celebrities. She insisted Jack's success wasn't handed to him. It was earned through dedication and skill. He's not a Nepo baby. He works so hard. He's gifted. Meg Ryan defending Jack's talent in a 2023 interview. Their mutual pride in Jack helped mend the narrative once dominated by scandal. Instead of being remembered solely for their messy split, they became known as supportive parents raising a talented son who refused to trade on his family name. Jack himself avoided capitalizing on his parents' fame. Early in his career, he chose not to lean into the Ryan Quaid legacy for opportunities. Fans respected this decision, seeing him forge his own path through auditions, indie projects, and standout performances. Looking back, Dennis Quaid views his marriage to Meg Ryan through a surprisingly positive lens. Despite the heartbreak, betrayal, and very public fallout, he sees one enduring success that emerged from their years together. The most successful relationship of my life. Dennis Quaid, describing his marriage to Ryan in hindsight. For Quaid, success wasn't measured by longevity or perfection. It was measured by raising Jack, a child who thrived despite the storms around him. Their shared legacy wasn't the films they made or the red carpets they walked. It was the son they nurtured, now standing tall in Hollywood on his own merits. Today, Meg Ryan enjoys a quieter life away from the spotlight, focusing on family and selective creative projects. Dennis Quaid continues acting and performing music, staying active in entertainment. But despite their different paths, their intertwined legacy remains centered on Jack. Through him, their story continues, not as a cautionary tale of love lost, but as proof that something lasting, meaningful, and beautiful can emerge even from a relationship that didn't go the distance. Chapter 5. Dennis Quaid still praises Meg Ryan. At 70 years old, Dennis Quaid has had time to reflect on the highs and lows of his life, and his marriage to Meg Ryan stands as one of its defining chapters. Despite the heartbreak, the headlines, and the years of distance, Quaid holds no bitterness about their time together. "I wouldn't change anything." Dennis Quaid summing up his feelings with the wisdom of hindsight. For Quaid, their relationship wasn't a failure, it was a profound learning experience. He acknowledges that marrying someone whose fame surpassed his own forced him to confront insecurities he hadn't faced before. Feeling overshadowed wasn't easy, but it helped him grow as a person. "I learned from that." Dennis Quaid, recognizing the personal lessons hidden within their struggles. Quaid admits that standing beside Ryan, especially as her career soared and his plateaued, made him feel invisible at times. Yet looking back, he feels gratitude rather than resentment for the love they shared, the family they built, and the man it shaped him to become. At 62, Meg Ryan has also reflected publicly on her marriage, but her perspective carries a quiet resilience shaped by years of navigating both fame and criticism. In interviews with Glamour, Oprah, and InStyle, Ryan has consistently challenged the public's oversimplified view of her story. She pushed back against the narrative that labeled her as the Scarlet Woman after her split from Quaid and her rumored relationship with Russell Crowe. For Ryan, that label wasn't just inaccurate, it was a reflection of how the media often vilifies women in stories of infidelity while excusing the men. "I'm not frozen in time. I don't regret who I am." Meg Ryan, rejecting the shame placed upon her. Ryan's reflections have been nuanced, acknowledging both her mistakes and her agency. She's made it clear that she left her marriage not because of another man, but because the relationship could no longer sustain itself. Her words carry both vulnerability and strength, a refusal to let the tabloids define her. More than 20 years after their split, the world still cares about Dennis Quaid and Meg Ryan's love story. Why? Perhaps because it represents something larger than celebrity gossip. Their relationship embodies the hopes, heartbreaks, and realities of love under the spotlight. Fans still look back with nostalgia, remembering a time when the pair were Hollywood's golden couple. Their story became a symbol of love gained and lost, of survival amidst scandal, of two people who tried and ultimately went their separate ways. Their journey reminds us that fame doesn't guarantee happiness, that even fairy tale romances come with flaws, and that love's lessons often reveal themselves only in retrospect. In the end, both Quaid and Ryan emerged from their marriage with dignity, gratitude, and a shared legacy in their son Jack. Their reflections are not about blame or bitterness, they're about understanding. Sometimes love gives you exactly what you need, even if it doesn't last forever. A sentiment that quietly defines the story they both continue to carry. Their paths may have diverged, but their history remains intertwined. Proof that even imperfect love leaves behind something worth cherishing. Their story was unforgettable, but there's so much more Hollywood doesn't want you to know. Hit like, subscribe, and tap the bell so you never miss the truth. And if you're ready for the next secret, it's already waiting for you. Click the video on your screen now and keep watching.